Hey everybody, welcome to Scribbles with Jonathan. My name is Jonathan Rector, and today I got a little treat for you guys. Hopefully some of you guys enjoy it. We're going back to doing a little screen recording of me just doing some work. This here is for a project called JESOP King. And you guys can check out a little bit more information on that at the bottom, and I'll probably be talking about it as the video is 20 minutes here. This whole process here took probably about 2 hours, hour and a half-ish, and I just compressed it down to 20 minutes, so it's going to go a little quicker. Everything I've done so far is basically just did a rough sketch of this poster or cover. I'm not sure what I want to use this for yet. And now I've made it a little bit bigger, and I'm going to go in here and just start showing you the process of how I take like a quick sketch and turn it into a finished piece. And I will say too, by the end of this, I didn't record the inking. The video would have been too beefy at that part, and I was just trying to keep it simple. This whole video will go right from here, right from what we're watching, right to this whole rough stage, right to the final clean lines. And from those clean lines, you would then take it and go into a final inking stage there. So I just want to talk real quickly about what you're seeing, what I'm doing here. Is you guys saw me take that rough sketch there and blow it up to size. Now I have it about the size that I want. I rotated it around, and I made it all a blue line, and I just went over it and basically started throwing in the air quotes here, proper anatomy, and you know, just so I have a feeling a little bit more, basically taking that sketch and solidifying it to give it proper weight, give it some connection points for the anatomy, make it look like it should. And right there, what I was just doing was I made the head on a separate layer. You'll see me play around with it a little bit, changing the size and the width and all that stuff. Initially, I had the sketch, in the sketch version, I had his head in there, but the anatomy was getting a little confusing for me, so I just left it out and drew the head on a separate layer. Right now, I'm just going over and adding some quick costume details. His costume is very simple, so I don't need to spend too much time on it. And right now, there you go. There's him in the finished sketch here. Just working on some more details. And I was just playing with some hand placement. I had an idea of what I wanted the background to be, but as I started sketching it out, it started to come together. The whole concept behind it was just like these aliens kind of like shooting at him, and he's trying to like basically make like a big daring escape or something. And he's in space, so this could be on a planet or an asteroid. And you'll see I'll start to add some circles and stuff. Right there we go. Those are just some ideas for placements of planets and things like that. Just throwing some very quick spot blacks. I didn't know how much shading I wanted to put into this. And here I have no idea. What I was doing was, and I don't know if you guys ever do this, whenever you're trying to come up with an idea, sometimes you might have a story in mind that you want to tackle. And as you start doing your sketching, more ideas pop in your head. And that's exactly what's happening right here. I just designed a real quick thing there just for effect, to be honest with you. It was just adding these little devices, and once this story does come out, hopefully I'll remember to be able to talk to you guys about that. But that's exactly what they were there. I just added them because I thought the bottom left was pretty empty. And what's kind of funny is, even though I did all the tight line work, all the work, really, once I went into the inks, I actually removed them altogether. It ends up looking way too busy. And here, what we got right there, that's the JESOP King, the original mini comic that I did. That's where this character comes from. And I just moved it into the thumbs and reference folder that I have. And the whole reason I did that is so that I have an idea of what he looks like. I know what my character looks like, but sometimes there's little details that you forget. So it's nice to have that in a separate layer. And right now I'm just moving my perspective path around, and I'm just using that as perspective. I don't even really think I ended up using the perspective, but it's nice to have it there. It didn't take much time to throw it in. I don't always do that in my sketches, but it's nice to have something. You'll see why I did that in a second. It was mostly for the smoke and the guns that were being shot from the aliens in the back. Now we have, on the right there, you can see what I'm doing. I just got rid of all the menus in Photoshop, so I have a little bit more room to move around. And I'm just doing the tight line art. And this is it. It's using the 3-pixel dead brush. There's no pressure sensitivity, nothing. It's really weird to draw like this. I've become much accustomed to it now, where I have an idea, like, no matter how much I don't really like it, I know once I get to the inking, I can correct the errors that I see there. And a lot of the time, you might even notice the lines, they don't close, they don't end. You know, like, it's not a nice smooth line. Once I throw a contour line over top of it, and once I do get to the inking, most of that stuff just disappears anyway, so it's not a big deal. These are all things that once I started working digital, they started to disappear very quickly. Like, I used to really hate the way this whole process would look. It would make me not want to draw. But as I stuck through it and played around and just, tried to push myself and learn, what's going on, and I started to appreciate what would happen in the end, what the final image would look like. So because of that, I started to enjoy really how this looks. And I've talked to death about, style changing and stuff like that. All of us artists, we like to always experiment and try something new, and I encourage that. And this is actually something this is like the next phase that I'm in, that I find myself doing a lot of things where it's very clean artwork, very little rendering at all, just nice, clean art. And before, I used to just love rendering the heck out of everything. And I might get back into that for a couple personal projects, because there's some fun to be had there. But for most of the work that I've been doing online and stuff, it's all been right here, like this kind of stuff. Alright, as you can see, that's what I'm talking about right there. It looks pretty boring, you know what I mean? Like, everything's blending together. It's not, there's no punch, there's no pizzazz. But we'll get there, we'll get there. Oh, I should say too, I will include a link at the very bottom in the comments there. And you can just click that and you can see the very final image. I'll probably link to you guys over on my DeviantArt account. Or maybe it'll be on my website, I'm not sure. But you can see how it turned out with the final inks and the space background and all that good stuff there. Sorry, and I will also I'll include another link. The inking I actually recorded on LiveStream. So you can check out that link as well in the bottom. I believe it's like an hour and a half, and there's some discussion. Some people came into the chat room, which was really cool. And you can just see how the inking went and all that good stuff. Right here, what I'm doing is it's a circle pattern on his shoulder. So I just made a path tool, a circle path, and just stroked the path with, again, a 3-pixel brush there. Going to do the same thing here. Make it on a new layer because the back muscles are overlapping the shoulders here. So I just erased the bottom part there. And again, we're just working more on the costume details, just trying to find that, line art that we like. Just working on some of the anatomy. Right here, this is something cool I'd like to get back into, is adding veins on characters. When they've got veins just popping up all over them when it's a high stress situation. And I'm just going underneath there and just erasing the line art that was underneath of it. It's pretty easy to do, especially when it's digital. When you're working digital, you're able to draw over lines because you can make layers and erase lines underneath it, which is actually a really powerful tool. And right there, that's another powerful tool that you can do, is I just made a line for his boot, and then I copied it, pasted it, changed the size a little bit, and now it's got kind of like a little rim to it in a way. All good stuff. I think we're wrapping up here on him being finished. And okay, we are. You can see all those jaggy lines. Ugh. Okay, so here we go. We're going in there with the contour line. Normally I use about a 5 width pixel brush, the exact same thing that I was already using, but instead of it being 3, we're slapping on a 5. Because this is essentially a cover, he takes up more real estate, and he's a pretty important image, or part of the image. So the outline here, I believe I went up to, this might even be 7 pixels wide, just to make it, like boom, stick out a little bit more. And almost done here. What I'm doing is I'm also throwing an extra contour line to separate his upper body from the lower body. And when I zoom out, you'll see right away. Hopefully, you guys can see it. It looks like he pops out a little bit more over the body. And I'm just adding a quick contour line around some of his head there. So there you go. You can see, like, now it's not looking as bad to me. It's not looking so flat that it's, like it's not a coloring book. I guess it could be a coloring book still. Just throwing in some random lines there for the hand. There'll be the veins once we start getting the shading and all that cool stuff in there. And while I got you guys here, while we're still just kind of messing around, if you guys enjoy this, please let me know again. A lot of what I'm doing right now is a little bit of a mixed bag. It's kind of a beta run and a beta test to see what you guys think, and as well as if you got any comments or questions, if you're seeing this from Facebook or Twitter or DeviantArt or anywhere else that you're following me, please let me know there, because I'm trying to track where my viewership is coming from. and YouTube keeps track of viewers, but it doesn't necessarily keep track of where they're coming from. So I'd like to know that, as well as what I'm beta testing as well is my hardware and stuff, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do it. So that long talk that I've always had about making instructional videos, it's coming quickly, and this type of video here is showing me that it's possible with what I have. So again, if all the viewers that are watching this, if that sounds like something you're interested in, again, please let me know. I like to create content that people enjoy to watch. All this stuff is fun to do, but if nobody's watching it or enjoying it, then I'm not really enjoying it. This is mostly for you guys, but all the big instructional videos that I'll try to sell for money, for people that like those little, just like advanced kind of things that I can talk about. I won't have to sit here and just ramble on for 20 minutes, I can sit here and, we can watch this over and over again while I have a little bit more of an in-depth conversation with you guys. That's more for me. That's where I can sit down and just, let my brain do what it needs to do. But for now, this is just for you guys for this fun stuff. Real quick, what I did, that entire thing, is I just designed a real quick one of these robots, and I never ended up using these, like I was saying earlier, and just changing some of the design on them, but the lines were way too thin because I had shrunk down the image. So I just thickened up those lines so it looks somewhat like it's like it was drawn with the 3-pixel brush there. So we got those guys, and I believe we're about to throw on the contour line to wrap them up. I'm not sure if in this video or if afterwards I added the smoke, and the smoke is really coming in from the actual perspective that I laid in there, and that's really the only reason that perspective's in there. That, and then the guns or the blasts that the bad guys are going to shoot, but I ended up changing that in the final image. Here, because this thing's a little closer to us, I think this is maybe even close to a 10-pixel width brush, and it makes some of the details get lost a bit, and you'll see me erase like right there just to get some sharp points in the actual contour lines. So there you go, those are there. Next thing I'm going to do is select everything inside that contour line and basically just fill it with white. And what that does is it blocks everything out behind it. So you can quickly see it pops over all the blue line, and it pops over JESOP. You can see me moving it around there, and it'll automatically black out the background. Now I'm doing the exact same thing for JESOP. And the whole reason for all this stuff is it saves you time. You don't have to necessarily draw the entire image when you can move it around like that. Also, I can resize things. I can move it around. Maybe I want him JESOP more into the center, and I can just click that layer that he's in and move it over, and then you're good to go. And here I'm just quickly working on the background. He's kind of leaning over like a cliff edge or some sort of giant rock. So I just wanted to have that in there. Again, keeping the details simple. Over here, I'm going to throw in some mountains, which again could be on this crater. The story idea that I had, where this is coming from, is just a little scene I had in my mind. I haven't written it yet. I think a lot of us will work like that. But the introduction here, it takes place on a meteor or an asteroid. I haven't decided just yet. Probably an asteroid. And I like to add these little chunky debris everywhere. Just adds a little bit more motion, more detail, just keep the image a little bit more interesting. And plus he's getting shot at, and in the original version here that I had in my mind, he was getting shot at with like bullets or something. And in the very end, if you click that link to see the final inks, the bad guys in the background are just shooting like lasers. And the reason for that is I ended up filling out the entire background with like solid black, and I put like a butt ton of stars back there. So right away you're stuck with a lot of black on white. And the only way to really get around that is to either start throwing solid black shapes or solid white shapes. And since he's in space, space is generally black. I had no choice. I had to throw white in there. So the bullets really wouldn't have read that way, so I just changed it to lightning. And here I'm just designing some, like, I don't know, this could be a monument, a god or something that they kind of like worship, these little aliens that I'm about to design on the fly here. So we got the ground. Okay, now I'm just going to throw a quick contour line. Normally I wouldn't really worry about putting a contour line on something like this in the background, but again, just trying to keep everything that's important kind of standing out a bit. And I believe we're about to start drawing the aliens. Baddies. Okay, here we go. and just turn off the layer so I can see what's going on. Normally I would do basically what you saw with Jessup, but with these bad guys, I would, kind of throw in where their anatomy would be. Here I just totally cheesed out, and I started falling into some default poses, and like you can tell right away that these aliens, and look at that gun, that's pretty lame. These alien creature things, they're nothing even special. They're totally forgettable. And that's because I didn't spend any time designing them or anything, It's just throwing some lines around and hoping that it works. And I mean, for the point of this, it works. It's okay. It's not a huge deal. I don't think it hurts the image at all. It's just something fun to do. But yeah, give him a little bit of a gut there. And I thought he was a little bit too big, so we just shrunk him and moved him. And my little way of being and trying to be clever was, they look pretty boring, so what else will make them aliens? Let's give them two tails. Why not? So I was trying to do, when I was doing these little alien guys here, I was just trying to put some pretty wild positions on them, just to make it a little bit more diverse back there. Again, all said and done, I think they're I know they're a failed design. They're not really that interesting. However, it's cool to see something going on back there, instead of just blasts coming out and all that good stuff. Again, one more final contour line on there. And I'm not being so precious with this contour line. Normally, like in between each area where the negative area would be in a character, I would go in there and start adding the contour line around that. I'm not really worrying about that right now. I'm just trying to keep some cool shape back there, so it stands out a bit. You'll see in a second here. See, when I zoom out, we're going to throw the background layer on in a second. But first, I'm going to add that fill layer. You'll see it. It'll go black and white pretty quick, just like that. I forgot a couple areas, so I had to go back in there and reselect them. So there's a black, flipped it to white, just moved it underneath the contour layer and the line art layer, and you can see right away all of a sudden they pop, just because they have that contour layer. Next, I started working on the planets, and the planets are always fun to draw. I think it goes way back even to one of my favorite illustrators of all time, Frank Frazetta. He would always draw planets or something back there, and I don't know if it necessarily was him or somebody else, but I don't know, it just does something to the composition it's so hard to not do this, because of the effect it gives right away. So I just grabbed the pen tool, made two circles, and right now what I'm doing is I'm making another layer and another path, and we're just going to put some rings around that planet. Stroked it and just moved it around. Now just go in there and I'll erase it. Done. Presto. We just drew Saturn or something. And here just doing quick line art, just some details, some craters and stuff. I plan on coloring this at some point, so I didn't want to take away too many things from me. But since this is on a separate layer, you can get messy, like you saw there. All those lines are going right into the other planet. It's not a big deal. You can just erase that. Add some lines on his friend there. And I have no idea why, but again, just trying to get story elements out of an illustration, I started adding chunks of debris around the planets. And went from there. So there you can see this is essentially done. I'm moving the planets around, just trying to, again, find that composition. That one worked better because now his fingers and his hand are in the planet there, so the framing works a little bit better. Before, the line was actually going through the hand, so it made it look a little different. And here I'm just adding smoke going towards the perspective. So this is probably towards the last little bit here of the video. And it's really a shame because, it's not a total waste, but these guys in the final inked drawing, like I said, they got removed because it was making it too busy. However, the design will probably change, but because I was making stories while I was drawing, and you guys and girls probably know the same thing, you guys get that same feeling where you'll design a character and maybe you'll draw them fighting some bad guys or something, and you just let your mind go for a little bit and you can start creating other story elements. So I know these characters are going to be in there. Essentially, it just made another character for my story, which helps take some of the heat off of writing better dialogue for other characters. They can serve a better purpose. And you always need characters for your stories, so it's cool when you can find them. And I'll just put a little quick thing out there as well. Your characters don't have to be people, right? Your character could be a weapon or a machine in this case. But anyway, so the video is done here. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And if you want more of this, again, just let me know. Thumbs up, share the video, all that good stuff. So thanks again, you guys. Take care and have a great night.